Hello, welcome to the Trainer Wise Daily Show. On today's episode, we're discussing Olympic lifting.
And what do I need to do so that when people come to me, I can make them better than they were when they walked in? Because anyone that comes to me right now is pretty much a beginner.
Hey, this is a call out to all strength coaches and trainers out there. If you would like to share your views on a given topic, just go to trainerwise.com. Fill out the contact form. Tell us the topic that's of interest to you, and we'll get you on as soon as possible. We're filling up shows at the moment, currently taking guest speakers. So please do take the time now to contact us there, and we'll get you on. Our guest today on the subject of Olympic lifting is Tamara Cohen from Asheville, North Carolina. Tamara, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Super cool. So we just want to dive in with the first question of how long have people been powerlifting? Do you have any reference for like the historical legacy? How long has it been going on? I know like gymnastics goes back forever, and Atlas ball lifting goes back, kettlebells. What about powerlifting or Olympic lifting?
Well, I know Olympic lifting was actually in the first Olympics. So we're looking at pretty long time. Yeah. A decent amount of time now. And it used to be the snatch and the clean and jerk as well as clean and press. And then they took the clean and press out. So now it's just the snatch and the clean and jerk.
Gotcha. And it seems to me, and you have to say, that CrossFit is probably a decent reason why a lot of people are getting involved in it. But is it at an all-time peak? Do you, like, everywhere I go, everybody has pictures of them with their little rubberized plates with weights above their heads, and it seems that it's, for me, like, more prevalent out there. Has that been your experience?
Well, that's certainly how I got involved. I started off in CrossFit.
I think we dropped your video for a second there.
And I did CrossFit here. I can see you.
Okay. All right, so guys, start again. So just speak loud if you can. You say you started in CrossFit when you got going in Olympic lifting.
Yeah, so I started in CrossFit initially in 2009, and I did CrossFit for about a year. And then I had some injuries to rehab, and I basically spent the summer getting that fixed up and getting a lot stronger. And the Olympic lifting piece of CrossFit was always what I liked the best anyway. Mm-hmm. So then in September of 2010, I basically switched from CrossFit to Olympic lifting full time and started working out with the Olympic lifting coach, and have been doing it since then. And in June of last year, I opened my own gym. So I have a UCW club that runs out of my gym, and probably about 50% of my gym right now does competitive Olympic lifting, at the local level.
Gotcha. So now at the local level, do you find that there's a lot of transplants, let's say from CrossFit or from the fitness world, to people who want to get more involved on the competitive side of it? Is there, granted, I know you're just getting involved in it, but is the word out there that you may see events such as, Olympic lifting competitions in your local city having larger contestants, or is it just, barely starting?
Well, we're very fortunate in North Carolina. My first coach, Peter Hawes, who's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, has basically done, I think, as much as humanly possible to grow the sport in North Carolina. Yeah. 2 years ago, I think they won meet in North Carolina a year, the state championship, and that was pretty much it. And in the last year, my lifters have done 9 different meets. I just had 4 lifters do a meet on Saturday. It was a first-time meet for 2 of them. Yeah. So really what Pete has done is to learn how to become a meet director and to put on the meets.
Gotcha.
Because, you can't really play a sport if you don't have a game to go to. So it's like, who wants to practice soccer and then not have a game at the end of the week? It's the same thing with weightlifting. You can practice all you want in your home gym, but unless you actually have a meet where you can go compete, it's not as much fun for people.
Yeah, so let me ask you, how did you connect with Mr. Hawes? Were you fortunate enough to be in a class with him by chance? Or how do you find, let's say, a quality instructor who's not going to teach you improper technique, causing you to maybe increase the risk of getting injured, but finding a high quality coach?
Well, I knew Pete through CrossFit. Mm-hmm. He owns a CrossFit affiliate, and That was his specialty, was Olympic lifting. And we had connected while I was a CrossFitter. And then once I decided that I wanted to move into Olympic lifting, I started training with him once a week. Winston-Salem is 2 hours and 20 minutes from my house. So
Gotcha.
for almost a year, every Friday, I drove 4.5 hours back and forth in order to train with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest problem. There's a lot of CrossFit affiliates out there. Not all of them have people who really care about doing weightlifting as an actual sport. They might like to do it as part of CrossFit, but not, say, to prepare lifters to go to a meet. So when I looked at North Carolina, there's only 10 or 15 weightlifting clubs in the entire state. So I'm kind of it in the western part of the state. And that was the biggest thing was, what do you do when you have an interest in a sport and you're new? And all of a sudden I have all of these people coming to me saying, well, I want to learn how to weightlift too. So I've been really fortunate to get to know some of the people that have been in weightlifting for a long time.
Yeah.
Hey, what do I need to do so that when these people come to me, I can make them better than they were when they walked in the door? Because anyone that comes to me right now is pretty much a beginner. So how do we move from beginner, and up when I'm kind of the person that's coaching weightlifting in this part of the state?
Are you a lot better now since you've been training with Hawes exclusively?
Yeah, well, I was training with him once a week for all that time, and I think the one-on-one is definitely a huge thing. I started working with Jim Moser over the summer of last year, and he has been in weightlifting for over 30 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty fortunate to have him as a mentor and a coach, and some other really good people that have that competitive background themselves, as well as the background of coaching higher level athletes. So I think the combination of really having the people to go to if I have questions, as well as at this point I'm training 6 days a week for at least 2 hours a day myself. With any sport, just that time under the bar, as well as having new lifters every week. Like I said, I've had I think 10 lifters do 9 meets in the last 11 months. So the more you get out there, coaching is partly teaching the technique, but also when you take a lifter to a meet, you have to learn how to get them through warm-ups and what you're going to do if they miss an attempt. All those little things that come with, okay, now on Saturday I felt like, hey, I finally know, I'm getting the hang of this as a coach.
Pardon me.
I have 4 different groups. I manage them up, so it's definitely been a learning process.
Yeah, and I bet, it was this way when I was at the gym I worked at. I was teaching some anatomy and programming and whatnot, and when I would have to teach it, I really had to learn it well. So I thought it was a big help to me, and I bet it is to you. And I guess that's my next question is, and it's the last question I was going to ask you is it open for every population? I mean, at what point does it become maybe like the speed element of it? I mean, obviously it's like strength times speed. So is that okay to do for, let's say, a senior population?
Well, I would definitely encourage you to come down to Savannah for Masters Nationals if you have nothing to do at the end of March and beginning of April. That was actually my first major meet, was Masters Nationals. In weightlifting Masters, it was 35 and older. And I think the oldest person, I want to say that the oldest male that competed was close to 90. So, definitely.
I was going to hold that back. You said 90 years old, huh?
I know there were multiple men in their 80s and multiple women in their 70s.
Wow.
Masters weightlifting is really, really big. And I think that's something that CrossFit has also helped to grow. I mean, I'm 36. I'm not going to the Olympics, obviously.
Right.
But I would like to be competitive on a national level as an under 35 lifter. And that's kind of my goal. But, as someone who's 36, going and watching people who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s lifting, I don't think that says it's for everyone. Certainly it's not for everyone. But when you see someone who's 80 who can still throw a bar over their head. I think it opens up the possibilities that sometimes when I feel tired and old, I'm like, well, in the end, I'm really not that old. So
that's right. So let me ask you, very plainly, what disqualifies somebody? If you have, let's say, a meniscus tear, are you gonna not take that person into deep knee flexion?
I take it on a case by case basis. Like I said, I started weightlifting with a shoulder injury and 2 bulging discs in my neck. What has been most beneficial to me is the fact that I have a really good physical therapist who has a background in lifting. So his goal was, let's make it so that you know what not to do when you lift to not aggravate those issues. I played competitive soccer for my whole life. I have torn cartilage in my knee. I'm sure that I have meniscus issues. So it's really just like knowing your body, I think, to a degree. But certainly if somebody does not have a meniscus,
yeah, that's a little different.
But if somebody doesn't have an ACL, they can squat. You also can do power versions of the lifts. A lot of the older population split snatches and split cleans. So, within reason, there's things that people can do to still lift. My oldest lifter right now is, I have 2 people at my gym who are in their early 50s, who had, both not done any sort of weight training until a year or 2 ago. They're perfectly healthy and able to. I had a guy who's 67 start with me last week. I don't see him as a candidate for competitive lifting. I could be wrong, but when you see someone,
you froze up again.
In their 60s, there's a big difference with someone who's big, right, and someone who's just completely detrained.
Right.
So I take a case by case basis, and if someone has any injury, coming in, I ask them to please see a physician and get checked out, and know what they're dealing with before they start, putting things over their head.
Okay, so you answered my question whether I can get involved in it full time. I'm kidding. I was going to ask about kids. I see all the little guys doing it. How little's too little, in your opinion?
My daughter's 7, and she's done 2 meets.
Of course.
Son is 5. He likes to deadlift and press. He's just getting into jerks. So for me, it's really, you look at other countries who are really good at weightlifting, and it's like any other sport. I think that's the biggest piece to growing the sport. Is 10 years old. By the time they're 10 years old in the United States, they've probably played soccer, done gymnastics, or done ballet, done and quit multiple sports by the time they're 10. But weightlifting is not one of those sports. So until we have like a developmental feeder system, something like every Saturday you can go to any park in the United States and see kids playing soccer. Everyone knows a kid who's doing gymnastics competitively. Once we can get weightlifting to that point where kids who are 5 or 6 or 7 have the opportunity to go try it out as their first sport, I think that's what's really going to help it grow in the United States. So, my kids come to the gym with me. Obviously, I own the gym. They spend a lot of time there. They pick up a barbell when they feel like picking up a barbell. And, if they ever decide that they want to really do that as their sport, great. But for now, they just come and have fun with it. And, my daughter's great. She has fantastic form, and if she decided she wanted to do it, I'm sure she'd be fabulous. But right now, she says she's retired. So,
That's right. That's funny. Obviously, collegiate athletes at pretty much every sport have their athletes perform powerlifting movements, Olympic lifting movements, anything to do with the acceleration component of moving a mass, and because it carries over to their sport. Would you say? Pretty much everybody says, "Oh, gymnastics lends well to pretty much any sport." Would you say that Olympic lifting is one of these things that's a good foundation for kids to get involved into multiple veins of sports?
Oh, definitely. I think just strength training in general.
Yeah, right.
everyone who comes to my gym who's doing some sort of strength training, even if they don't want to be involved in Olympic lifting,
Right.
unless they have an injury that rules them out of doing power cleans, everyone does power cleans. I'm a starting strength coach for Mark Ripito. He's a big influence in my training. And so in terms of power production, you move a heavy weight as fast as you can. And that pretty much carries over to anything that you're going to do sports-wise.
Right.
So, I think obviously, that's why, football players power clean.
Yeah.
I think it's catching on to more and more sports. Like I said, I grew up playing competitive soccer, and in the 80s and early 90s as a female, we did not do a whole lot in the weight room. But that has changed. Now if you're looking at D1 college athletes, female athletes, they're doing that stuff in the weight room now. So yeah. I think everyone's kind of seeing it works.
Yeah, I agree. Tamara, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing with us, our viewers, your views on Olympic lifting. I think that I hope people understand that Tamara, I always call you Tamara. Tamara sharing her views. Somebody else in a different state, maybe has a different scene going on or a different perspective is welcome to come on the show, share what they think. I think it's important to have people from all across the country give their perspective on something that's so prevalent in our industry of fitness, strength training, athletic training, just a competitive sport all by itself. And thank you to our viewers for watching. Tamara, if people wanted to get a hold of you to get more information on your gym and what you do, where should they contact you?
The gym is Asheville Strength and Conditioning, and the website is ashevillestrength.com.
Okay, super cool. Thank you again for being on, and thank you everybody for watching.
Show me a good time. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Show me a good. Show me a good. Show me a good time.